Hello everybody and welcome to our healthy Halloween cook-along. We had a few little technical difficulties, but I think we have them worked out. Today we're here and we're going to make a healthy Halloween snack using a Better Living Texan recipe and also a beef-loving recipe. It's called Yummy Mummy Beef and Veggie Pizzas. So if you looked earlier, I had put the recipe in, or the shopping list in comments. So if you bought those ahead, go ahead and get your ingredients out. And if not, just follow along and you can make the snack later and at your own pace. Alright, so don't forget when you're finished watching this cook along, we have a door prize and there'll be a form for you to fill out in comments. And I'll be checking all of those names by noon tomorrow and announce a winner. But we have this cute little pumpkin carving kit. So you've got the pumpkin and some carving utensils. We also have a 4-H pumpkin carving contest going on right now. So if you win this prize, be sure and sign up and enter our contest before Tuesday of next week. And all of that information is on our 4-H Facebook page, and your leader also has an email about it. So if you don't see it on Facebook, then contact your leader and she can get you the information. Alright, so we're ready to go. So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about safety. Food safety is very important. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that all your surfaces have been cleaned really well with hot soapy water, and make sure that your hands have been washed really well with hot soapy water for 20 seconds. And also make sure all of your utensils that you're going to be using are clean, and make sure with your fresh vegetables and your meats that you don't cross-contaminate. And cross-contaminate means that you don't mix them together. So we want to just make sure we're taking care of all of those safety precautions. Alright, so the first step that we're going to do is dice our vegetables. And the recipe calls for a red bell pepper and it calls for half an onion. I chose green onions to use in the recipe today, but you can use any onion that you have. You can use red onion, white onion, yellow onion, or if you don't like onion, you can leave it out. So your bell pepper needs to be washed. All your produce needs to be washed. So we're going to start with the bell pepper, and mine are pre-washed. So we're just going to cut it in half because this is a large bell pepper. Your recipe says a small one. So we're going to cut that in half using safe knife skills. And when you're going to point your blade down, and you're going to keep your fingers curled back anytime you cut, so that you don't cut your fingers. Alright, so we're just going to cut that little core and seeds out. We're going to discard that. And then we're going to put the red bell pepper on the cutting board. We're going to, I slice mine into small pieces and then I dice them into smaller. So make sure you're keeping your blade down. Make sure as you hold the red bell pepper that you're keeping your fingers curled in. So we're just going to slice about a third, a cup, I believe is what it says. So it says one small bell pepper. So I'm just going to slice half of this bell pepper. So we'll do this right quick. Alright, and I'm just going to scoop that off in a bowl. Next I'm going to dice the green onions. We're going to lay them out on the cutting board. And hold them still. Keep your fingers away from the blade of the knife. So we're just going to dice our onions. Scrape this off in a bowl. Okay, in this recipe you can follow it by the directions, or you can also be versatile. So you can add other veggies besides just the onions and bell peppers. You can add some diced up carrots. You can add some spinach. If you like cauliflower, you can add cauliflower, or if you want to chop up some mushrooms. All of those would be great on your pizza, or pick your favorite veggies. Alright, so today I'm going to add a little spinach to mine, and then I'm also going to add the carrots. Alright, and we're going to saute the vegetables in the skillet along with the meat. So you'll need to preheat the skillet on your stove. I'm using an electric skillet because I'm cooking here at the office, and I've already got mine preheated. So just go ahead and preheat your skillet and get it ready. You might want to spray a little oil in your skillet. Keep things from sticking if you have some spray oil. If not, we're going to put your ground meat in next, and it'll have a little oil in it. So we're going to go ahead and put the vegetables in and let them start to cook. Alright, next you're going to get your ground meat out. I pre-cooked my meat, but your meat is probably raw unless you started ahead of me. So you're going to take your ground meat, and it called for a pound, and you're just going to take yours out of the package. Make sure you've removed the little bottom piece from the wrappers, and then you're going to just put your ground meat in the skillet. Then you can take a spatula and break your ground meat up as it cooks so that you have little small particles. Alright, get this going here. It's going to take a little while to cook the ground meat. We're just going to let that simmer for a little bit. Once your ground meat is cooked, you will need to drain the grease from the ground meat. So while your ground meat is cooking, if you've got someone helping, let them find a colander or something that you can use to drain the grease from the ground meat. That makes it healthier by taking out the excess fat. And I did choose lean ground beef for this recipe, and I've already removed the excess grease from my meat. But once it's cooked and it's done, then we'll take the grease out and we'll move on to the next step. Ground meat needs to be cooked to a safe temperature of 160 degrees, and you can test it with a meat thermometer if you have one of those. If not, you can just make sure that you have cooked it until all the pink is out of the ground meat, and when you break the little particles in pieces with your spatula, you won't be able to see any pink. So it's very important that we cook our meat to the correct temperature, and that we cook ground meat until it's done. Because of the way ground meat is processed, it's important that you cook ground meat till it's fully done. Alright, my ground meat is getting pretty done. Again, it was pre-cooked, so mine's going to cook a little quicker than yours. So the next thing we're going to do is measure the sauce. And you should have a jar of pizza sauce. And it says 1.5 cups of pizza sauce, and that's about 12 ounces. And if you have a liquid measuring cup, you can use a liquid measuring cup. If you don't have a liquid measuring cup available, you can also use dry. But for liquids, we always recommend using a liquid cup. So I'm going to pour the sauce in here. And you look for the 1.5 cup line. You're going to let that settle. So you can hold it up and measure, but in order to know if it's correct, you're going to have to put it on a level surface and bend down till you can see the line eye level, and make sure that you have a 1.5 cups. So if you have a little too much, you can pour it back in. If you have not enough, then you can add a little more to it. Mine looks like it's just about right, so I'm going to pour it in the into the meat and stir this all up. And I'm going to add just a little bit more sauce to mine. So if you want to add a little more, you can. I did add some extra veggies, so that's probably why mine needs a little more sauce. And parents, this is a great recipe. If you have trouble getting your kids to eat veggies, this is just a great recipe to sneak those veggies in with. Okay, so it says on the recipe to let this simmer for about 2 minutes. So while that's simmering, if you'll go ahead and go to your oven and turn your oven on to preheat it. The recipe says to put it on a low heat broil. And if you don't want to broil it, you can also bake it at 400 degrees. So I'm using a toaster oven, and mine has a pizza setting, which is 400 degrees. So I'm just going to use that setting right there. I'm going to preheat my oven. Alright, we're using little sandwich thins for our pizza crust. And they make these in several varieties, but the healthy ones to buy are the 100% whole wheat. And that's the ones that I bought today. And they come together like a little hamburger bun. And so if you'll just take those and separate them on a cookie sheet, the recipe makes 4 to 6 little pizzas. And so we're going to be making 4 today. But if you have your 6 in your family, then you go ahead and make 6. So those are ready as soon as the meat gets done. It looks like mine's about done here. I'm going to turn mine off. Alright. Okay, so we're going to take a spoon. Once your meat is done, you're going to take a spoon. You're going to spoon some meat out of the pan, and then you're going to put it out on your pizza. Just spread it around, put your scoop on there and spread it around. Oh, and these extra veggies made mine really colorful. I'm making mine pretty thick because I'm only making 4, but since you're making 6, you may even have enough for 8. This recipe, depending on how thick you want your pizzas to be. Okay, so when your meat is all spread out, it's gonna look just like this. And the next thing we're gonna do is our string cheese. So this is a low-fat mozzarella cheese. And you're just gonna pull it out of the package.
It smells good.
Smells good.
It smells really good.
Alright, and you're gonna take your string cheese and just string it apart. So So just rip off some strings like you're ripping fabric, because then we're going to mummy up our pizza. So you get your strips going and you can just lay them across. You can crisscross them, you can do them straight across, you can curve them. Just be creative with your money strip, your cheese strips in making your money. Alright, does anybody have any questions while we're moving along? Cecily's here and she'll check it for me. Couldn't have made it today without Cecily and Andrew. They had to help me with all the computer glitches that I had.
If you have any questions, guys, just drop them in the comment box and I could read them to Lorie and she could help answer them.
And when you're finished, be sure and give us a photo of the pizza that you made. We'd love to see them later. Alright, so I've got my mummies all strapped up. The last thing we're going to do is put our eyes on. And eyes are black olives. Now, I bought the sliced black olives. If you bought whole ones, that's fine. Just slice them up or put them out there whole. So I'm going to put 2 eyes on here. I think the recipe just called for eyes, but if you want to go ahead and make a face, I'll give one a mouth. Okay, and now we have the eyes on. Let's see it. So yours should look somewhat like that when you're ready. And the last thing we do is pop them in the oven. Yours should already be preheated, like we talked about earlier. And they're going to take 4 to 5 minutes to cook. So I'm just going to stick mine in there and hit start. And mine are on their way to cooking. Alright, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, before you leave, we have a form for you to fill out for the door prize. And when you pull yours out of the oven, here's what they look like. Nice and tasty. It's yummy, mummy beef and veggie pizzas. And these would be a great snack for you to use for Halloween or just a healthy family meal.
Perfect.
Alright. See any questions on there? Okay. Well, that's all we have for you today. Again, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to sign up for our pumpkin carving contest. It's listed on Facebook. The pictures of your carved pumpkin are due Tuesday. You're going to email them to Andrew, and then we'll have the contest later next week. And sign your form for the door prize, and I'll be calling the winner tomorrow after lunch. All right. Thank you.